What is good, everybody, man? We back. I told you guys we're gonna be a lot more consistent this year, man. Hopefully my guy, even though he's the assistant head coach at Alcorn State, is gonna still be able to make time for the show during the season, man. You were busy last year. I was busy. We had a lot of stuff off the field, man, but we back. Coach, we finally have some real football to talk about. We don't have to talk about any all-season speculations. We don't have to talk about over/under win totals. None of that. We're actually kicking the ball off in just about 48 hours here.
Yes, just about. No more win total predictions. That's about to come to life. So yes, it's here. Can you smell it?
Oh man, well this weekend, man, is a great opportunity, man. A bunch of FCS HBCU football this weekend, like in prime time too. Like you have Incarnate Word Nichols at noon on ESPN2. Tarleton Portland State at like 3 or 3:30 on ESPN2. Then you got the two primetime games, UC Davis Mercer at 6 o'clock on ESPN. Then obviously what we're here to talk about today, the MEAC SWAC Challenge, Coach 6:30 ABC, and then obviously Idaho State going to UNLV will be somewhere on the Mountain West Network. I don't even know if I get that. I don't know where to find that network, but probably catch a little bit of Idaho State football if I can. Coach, we're here to talk about the MEAC SWAC Challenge. But I wanted to start here, and you can plead the fifth because we always kind of bring it to Alcorn to start, and then we'll shift into our game. You can plead the fifth. I asked Coach Seth about this at Media Day, and he kind of talked about it. Coach, are y'all listening to any of the preseason talk? Because G did a show last night, and we did our SWAC preview last week, Coach. I don't know if you saw it. Timothy picked you guys to win the West on that episode. But he said Jackson's going to win the SWAC. He had Jackson Alcorn playing back-to-back weeks, Jackson winning the SWAC, which is fine. That's a popular pick. But, Coach, I think Timothy's the only person to pick y'all in the West. There's been predictions from 3 to 4 to 5 wins to losing to Valley. Like, there's been some predictions that are pretty disrespectful. How are you hearing any of that?
I mean, you hear it, but you don't pay attention to it. And then you try to make sure your kids don't pay attention, make sure they don't get involved in that. As far as going back and forth and things like that. But yeah, it's impossible not to hear it. I mean, you have to be living under a rock not to hear it.
Listen, I said it on our SWAC preview, and in case you're watching on YouTube, the SWAC previews audio only is on our podcast, so you can go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever, and catch that. I think it was almost an hour and a half of SWAC content. Me and Timothy breaking down every single team, over under win totals, rosters, and all that. So, Coach, I mean, just to let you know, let me double check here. I want to make sure I give you the right information. I don't remember what the over under was, but we both went over on Alcorn. So just saying, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing because we're pretty accurate with our predictions. So maybe it's a good thing. I'm hoping that we're at least a little bit of good luck for you. But Coach, the SWAC, the MEAC SWAC Challenge, man, we got Southern North Carolina Central. I want to give a shout out to John Grant and the committee, Coach, because I'm thinking back, like I think this is one of the first times that we've had two teams that were probably one game away last year from getting to either winning their respective conferences or getting to the playoffs, even with like North Carolina Central. And on top of that, too, Coach, you have two teams that are really highly rated in their preseason conference rankings, where Central was second. I thought they even could have been first, even though South Carolina State won it last year. And you have Southern, who's predicted to win the West and get back to the SWAC championship game. Coach, I like matchups that I can learn about teams early because I talked with Sam Herder earlier this week. Coach, I hate, excuse me, when we have a team. Coach, me and you are previewing week. Teams play Tuskegee, Virginia Lynchburg, and Vanderbilt. And it's like me and you are previewing week 4, and now they got a real game. And me and you were like, I still don't know what to think about this team, right? Because they're going to win those overmatched games 50-0, and they get beat 50-0. Are they healthy after the FBS game? So I like teams that you can learn about early. And Coach, I don't know how you feel, but I think we're going to learn so much about each of these two teams on Saturday night.
Oh, no doubt. And, the old adage is that you get better from week 1 to week 2. But we'll know by the end of the game Saturday exactly where they are as far as it goes a starting point. Because there's a lot of question marks about both teams. So we'll see where those question marks are. Are there a big question mark? Are there a small question mark? Are there several question marks like you put in the text message? about those certain little areas, for both teams.
I think quarterback play for me is I have way less questions about Walker, right? Because I understand people are pointing at his stats, coach, but this is a kid that played 3 drives against Lynchburg where he could have stayed in and ran the score up on Virginia Lynchburg and really padded those stats, and he had to sit out the Howard game because of the fight that happened post or I wanna say he missed the last game. It might have been Delaware State, but he got benched, right, because of the fight that happened after the Howard game. So I think it was Delaware State. What are the stats he could have put up then, coach, against the Delaware State team where the backup quarterback came in and put up crazy stats? And on top of that, too, I believe he only played like a half against UNC Chapel Hill early in the season. So I think the 1,800 passing yards, coach, is a little bit misleading in terms of how good he was. I think the film's there, and I'm comfortable with him. But I think for me, looking on the flip side, Jalen Woods has his opportunity, coach, to really solidify himself as the guy for Southern. He won the quarterback battle from everything we've been told. He played well last year. I don't think the stats back up how composed he looked at times in that offense, because this is his opportunity to really solidify himself as one of the top quarterbacks in the SWAC. Because if he goes out and plays well against Central Secondary and gets a win, Jalen Woods catapults himself into a different conversation, I believe.
Yeah, and I'll start back with the NCCU guy. That kid to me, as you say, his stats is misleading, and the one stat that you can't circle is the experience. He has that in the next game is a big game. He has big game experience. He's very familiar with what's in that program. So if we're giving an edge, or we're saying, this kid is ahead of that kid, I've got to go with him. And like you said, I would feel really comfortable with him because he's played, he has actual big time game minutes and things like that. Not that the SU kid doesn't, but they're at SU. Can he make the next step, like you said, with all the little changes that they had up front? Getting his timing right with his receivers, and we know what the paper says about the NCCU secondary. So it's going to be a tougher task for him than the North Carolina Central kid.
Now, Woods didn't play against y'all last year, right? That was before he missed the Alcorn game.
Right.
Okay, because Edwin was probably going to ask you your thoughts. He was like, "Did Woods play against y'all?" But you didn't really get to see him in person play. I I think he played well in his time, coach. But you know this because y'all had young quarterbacks last year. It's hard for a redshirt freshman to step in mid-season and have the pressure, coach. Because usually when that happens, the redshirt freshman steps in, coach, and you're losing, right? And it really doesn't matter. Yeah,
You're building for
growing
next year.
pains. Coach, how rare is it for a redshirt freshman to have to step in? And coach, you're looking at him like, hey, we're in the SWAC West race. Like we have to be in the SWAC championship. And I'll give him this. He won some close games, and I think it counts for something.
Definitely. And then I think, and it's no knock to the system he's in, but I think he's in the perfect system. A run first attitude. And I think, that weighs really well in the favor of a young quarterback. It's just hold it in the middle of the road. We don't need you to go out here and throw it 50 times. We don't need you to go out here and win the game by making all the tight throws and the tight windows. We just need you to hold it in the middle of the road. Don't wreck. So this type of offense, I think, bodes well for him. He has experience in it, but he's going against a pretty good defense as well. So, like you said, I think this is going to answer some of their questions about what they have at that position. And we've said it on this show many, many times. That one guy really, really puts you in position to be standing there on the podium at the end of the year, more so than any other position.
You have a relationship with both of them, so I'm not going to put you on the spot here, but I'm going to give you my take, and I'm just going to let you plead the fifth because I know you're good friends with both these guys, and that's Mark Frederick and that's Matt Leone. And to me, coach, that's where I think Central has a little bit of separation, in my opinion. And that's no disrespect to Mark Frederick. I want to put that out there, and that's not what I'm saying. Bro, Matt Leone is just different, coach. He has that other gear when he gets in his bag, and I think you've seen it. That we both can point to multiple games where, coach, if he figures it out, I don't know what you're gonna be able to do because once he gets in that flow, like the Celebration Bowl, he was really in his bag with that. And
Yes.
I'm very, very curious on how Matt Leone is going to try to scheme Kelby Givens out of the game. Because, coach, that's a player you have played against for multiple years. How big of a game changer can Kelby Givens be? And listen, you've coached wide receivers, you've coached tight ends, you've been an offensive guy. How do you scheme at what's the best approach here? Is he a type of player you can scheme out of the game, or is he a player, coach, you just have to deal with the handful of plays he's gonna make and hope he doesn't wreck the game?
I think you take both approaches. To be honest with you, B, I think you don't, and this is just me. If I'm in those shoes, you don't let one guy take you out of what you do, right? Um, if we all know what kind of pass rusher he is. If we want to pass the ball, we're not gonna pass the ball because of him. So I gotta believe that you've got to scheme it to where you can kind of control or hope to control him. Whether that's send the line all his way with the slide, whether that's have the back chip him on his way out of there, or have the back standing there for secondary help with the tackle. But you've got to do something to still stay within the realms of what you do offensively. And again, as you just touched on it, I think that's what makes Matt so very good because he can do that, and he's been in this. It's his system. That quarterback has been in the system, so
For years.
yeah, so he'll understand because you got to remember now that kid sat behind Davius for what 2 years or whatever,
I think it might have
maybe
been
three,
3.
maybe three,
Yeah.
yeah. And Matt's been there the whole time, so there's different things you can do. You better believe that kid's gonna know where that kid is. He's gonna know where his hots are. He's gonna know, even though we're not throwing hot off of him, but he's gonna know where he needs to go with that football in a timely manner. So I don't think you just completely throw your playbook away because you have a guy like that defensive end. But I think you put things within it to kind of help you control that situation to where you're not sitting there worrying about it on 3rd and 7. Am I going to be able to drop back and throw this ball and still have myself protected?
So shout out to Jamie, man. We're looking forward to me and Coach are looking forward to seeing you in Nashville this year, man, instead of Frisco. But he wants to know: do you trust the running back Chip Givens, Coach, or
Oh,
because he's
definitely.
so impact? Okay, so
No.
you would go running back?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Now I can extend the edge with the tight end to help the tackle as well. Meaning now I add an extra body and that extra gap. Now he's got to, whether the tight end is fighting across the arc out or he's running through his inside shoulder, widens him a little bit, gives your tackle a chance to kick a little deeper. So yeah, you have a chance to widen that edge with a tight end. But I would trust my back. But I got to believe that in camp they've worked that angle because that back can get you in trouble where your tackle's in control and then all of a sudden the back comes up. And you know this from playing up front. He thinks he's doing something, but he's really hurting the situation by knocking your tackle off and getting bulldozed by that kid. So I'm sure they've worked all those angles in those different scenarios.
Yeah, that worst case scenario is like you got to handle. They come and chip, and like you said, they get pancaked, and now you gave up the sack, right? Because they're going to look at you as the offensive tackle, not the running back per se. Luckily though for Central is they do return 5 offensive linemen that played over 480 snaps last year. Their
Right.
top returner is their tackle in Trayvon Humphrey, who all conference, all American level player. And so I'm really excited to see that matchup because I think Humphrey is a guy. I don't think he's a bona fide NFL prospect, coach, but I think he's one of those guys that could be a UDFA mini camp invite guy. While I think Givens has a chance on ABC to really kind of put himself into the conversation to be a top NFL prospect among HBCU guys. Because I mean, his production, coach, is stupid. I want to say in 2 years he's had like 56 tackles for loss and like 20 something sacks.
Yeah. Uh, he's been a force to reckon with on that edge, for sure, for sure.
So, coach, obviously running back's going to be a big deal. Both teams are going to have new starters at running back. And I really do think, and it sounds so cliche, coach, because every single person in the world is going to say, you got to run the ball to win. Well, yeah, no shit. But really and truly, especially for Southern, they're going to have to run the ball, coach, because I don't know if Jalen Woods is ready to win it all on his arm. If they in last year, Coach Southern was 6-0 when they ran for over 175 yards or more. They
Right.
have to try to find a way to establish the run. You have Trey Holly coming in, super highly touted, highly recruited kid, transfer from LSU, was the all-time leading state rusher in Louisiana high school history. And then on Central side, you have Chris Mosley, coach, who averaged 11 yards per carry last year in his limited action. Both are a little bit undersized, coach, super explosive though. Which team do you have most confidence in running the football? And I want to give you this little tad bit of information too, coach. We mentioned Central's offensive line. Southern also returns 5 offensive linemen that played over 460 snaps. Both O lines are going to be super experienced. Both have new running backs. Who do you think establishes the run better?
Who I think needs to is Southern. I think SU's got to do that just because of what we just talked about a few minutes ago, the quarterback situation and taking that pressure off. I think they've got to, and I think that's what they do. That's their bread and butter. So I think that they've got to have the upper hand in that situation as far as wanting to get that running game established early. They have, like you said, a bunch of returners as well with minutes, and they have good size up front. So, are they going to be able to lean on Central and wear them down? Are they going to be able to keep it close enough to continue that run game? You know what I mean? So that's going to be very important for them defensively as well to control Central while they're trying to get that run game going. Because if they can get it going, then they're right in that ball game. So it's going to be an interesting cat and mouse in that situation.
I'm with you. I think it's most important for Southern, not only because of Woods, coach. I don't have as much confidence in the receiving core as I do Central either. And it's not that they don't have any talent there, right? I think Darren Morris is actually an extremely talented wide receiver on the outside. But you look behind him, coach, they only have one other receiver, which I believe is Cam Jefferson, that played over 200 snaps last year. So they're going to be super, super young at that spot. While you look at Central, Chauncey Spikes comes back, Peterson comes back, Mekhi Wall comes back. Quentin McCall was a starter 2 years ago, coach, missed all of last season. So he's back now this year. And they added a transfer from Kaiser, who was an all-conference, all-American level guy at Kaiser down in Florida I believe it's the NAIA level.
Yeah.
So, man, I have a little bit more confidence in the wide receiving core for Central, but I think Southern, coach, you've been in the SWAC for a long time. The identity for Southern has always been running the football.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's changing, especially under Mark Frederick, who you know very well. Mark is going to run the football. Regardless, he's going to find a way to run the football, whether it's inside zone, whatever it may be. He's going to force the run to work. And I think that's going to be the key for them. And they're going to have to run the football. Or I don't think if Southern doesn't rush for 150 or more yards, coach, I think the probability of them pulling this one out is very, very low.
I'd second that. And I might even take that total up. And then I've got to add the time of possession. I think they've got to keep that quarterback for NCCU on the sideline. And I think the way they do that, as you said, is with that run game, controlling that and, moving the chains methodically. And then if they can find themselves in an early lead, I think that bodes well for them as well. But we all know if you fall behind, that run game starts to dwindle away. And then that's when the problems are going to start because now you've got to really lean on that pass game that we really don't know a whole lot about at this point.
Defensively, coach, Central only returns about 5 returning starters. Because if you extend that to contributors, they returned 14 players that played over 100 snaps last year from that defense. Have a ton of depth coming back who got significant playing time. And I'm very curious to see what the level this defense could be, because I thought in terms of secondary, coach, they were the most underrated unit in the country. Coach, last year, and I think, 11 games they played, they allowed less than 6 yards per attempt, had 13 interceptions, and only allowed 4 passing touchdowns all year last year. That's elite defense. And you've been a DB coach. You're taking that all day if you could get that in 11 games.
Oh, yeah, you got to. And, the thing that I think is really understated in what you just said there is those guys got time. They may not have been the starters, but they got significant time. And PFF, that what did we do before PFF? You know what I mean? But
Could you imagine being a coach? Like, you were a coach in the non-PFF days, but every coach leans on PFF now for everything.
yeah, it's crazy how we got along without it, but now it's here. But when you get guys that have that experience, when you get guys that have been on that stage, TV games are different. And you got guys that have never been on that stage. They do a great job with the celebration ball. They do a great job with the kickoff. So it's going to have the excitement of a bowl game. You know what I mean? It's a different stadium. Those both teams are probably traveling right now to get there for a game on Saturday. So there's going to be things to do. So guys that have experience, they do well in these situations because they understand what it is. Guys that don't have a lot of experience or new, this may be a little overwhelming, and it may take them a half to settle in.
I'll say this. I actually am kind of high on Southern's defense, probably compared to the majority of people. Like, outside of Givens. Now, I think the question mark is more on the defensive line coaches. I thought they were really, I don't want to, they were just kind of small on the interior last year, to say the least. They had some guys that might have some weight, but they were super short. And if the guy wasn't short, they were a little bit undersized weight wise. I mean, you guys went through the same struggle. Coach has said that too. Interior wise, they didn't match up with the edge rushers. And coach, who's going next to Givens? Because we talked about how you scheme a guy out of a game. Their other edge rusher really stepped up last year and made some plays while Givens was getting a lot of attention, and it opened up some one-on-one opportunities for Givens. If they can't find another edge rusher to really emerge on the other side, I do think that helps Central's ability to take Givens out of the game for the most part.
Definitely. Because at this point now, we know we can move our protection to him, and we can control the other side. But then we can also run the ball to the other side. So playbook's wide open, options are wide open. Now we know that we just have one guy that we kind of got to control over. And now, like you said, the pressure's on the other side. And if he's not coming up with those plays, he's going to see a lot of that action coming his way. Not just this game, but for the rest of the season until he proves that he can hold up. Now, whether they do it by person or by committee, somebody over there is going to have to hold up on the opposite side of the other kid.
They brought in a ton of interior JUCO talent, a bunch of guys that have that prototypical size you want at D tackle. Secondary wise, I think they're going to be really good, coach. I mean, you got Elijah Westback, Herman Brister, Xavier Spencer, Horatio Johnson. You got some guys that played a lot of snaps last year. The question is going to be, how did they match up against a guy in like Walker Harris, like you said, that has so much experience, that's comfortable with the scheme. That coach also too has probably earned the trust of his OC Matt Leone to make those adjustments up front as well. So if he sees something, him and Leone are on the same page, coach, where he can adjust. Are they going to be able to force him into turnovers? Which really and truly, he didn't turn the ball over a ton last year. Outside of maybe the Elon game, I want to say was the worst game he had. But outside of the Elon game, which I think he threw 3 picks in, coach, he really didn't turn the football over a lot. And I think that's going to be important for Southern, is to win that turnover battle and make Walker uncomfortable, whether that's with Givens or whether that's disguising coverages and making him uncomfortable in the pocket.
Yeah, and we know he's athletic enough to make things happen with his legs, but that's not what he wants to do. But if you can constantly push him, making him step up, if you can constantly flush him, just get him uncomfortable, that'll be something to see how he reacts and what Matt does to help. But yeah, that's got to be a big factor in what they do defensively to try to get him off his mark.
When you look at top players, I mean, let's just exclude Walker Harris and Givens, coach. I mean, obviously they're the key players, and we've talked about that. Well, I know you don't like to mention players, so I'm gonna give you this one. I'll do the players. Keys to the game, coach. And I want to start here. And we always ask this question when we do individual game previews. Southern wins if, and you could give me 1 or 2 things in your mind that Southern needs to do to win this football game.
Southern wins if they control the time of possession and they run the ball effectively.
And then Central wins if.
Central wins if they shut the run down for Southern and Walker's able to throw for over 200 yards. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, But if he's able to stand clean and throw for over 200 yards, Central wins the game.
I'm with you on that. Me and Timothy already did our preview, so I kind of answered that question already. But like, I think the biggest thing is, man, they got to find a way to make Walker uncomfortable in the pocket. Like, they're going to need Givens and that defensive line really to collapse the pocket. They really need to. They need to get to Walker early and often and make him uncomfortable all night. Because coach, we've seen just throughout his career, if Walker could just stand back there in the pocket and feel confident, he's
good.
going to pick you apart. And
He's
Leone's
good.
going to scheme it up where someone's there. Like you even saw with South Carolina State, they struggled in that first half, right? And they were getting to him, they were making him uncomfortable. They couldn't really figure it out offensively. As soon as they locked in, man, it was a different second half, man. And Walker in that running game really started to click in. They have to make him uncomfortable early and at least try to jump up there early because coach, if they're going to run the football, getting that early lead is so important because if you get behind too early, it could be really, really tough to establish the run later.
Yeah, run don't matter if you get behind.
No, and I think go ahead.
No, I said run don't matter when you get behind, especially with the timing rules.
Yeah, I mean that's so important to Southern men to get to Walker for Central, man. I think it's I like I said like you said, I just think it's a stopping the run for Southern man. If Jalen Woods goes out there and throws for 350, coach, more power to him, more power to Southern. If I'm Central, I'm like, I don't think he can beat me with just his arm. You're gonna have to show me. That's what I'm doing. I am loading the box, and he's gonna have to beat me over the top, coach. Because the best part of my team is the secondary. And we're not going to let you because I mean, coach, me and you have talked about this so much on this show. If like Alcorn runs the football well, coach, every coach in the SWAC when they face Alcorn is like they can beat us, but they're not going to run the football on us. Or that's our goal, right? Is to stop the run, and we're going to make Alcorn beat us over the top. That's got to be Central's game plan. I think Central wins if they can stop the run. I think that's the main key for them because Southern is going to live and die off the run this year, in my opinion.
Right. If NCCU cuts off the run, plan B, and I gotta believe that Coach Oliver and that defensive staff, they're not gonna be shy about putting 8 up in that box to stop that and may say, hey, prove it. And once you prove it, then we'll make adjustments off that. But I gotta believe that that's how they're gonna start.
I would imagine, and then also and I laugh because I'm just thinking of all the examples in my head. The Leone signature is there's going to be at least one trick play somewhere in here, coach, on a game of this magnitude. Like that's the Leone special, and we've seen it, right? He had what 2 or 3 in the Celebration Bowl win.
Yeah, nice ones.
I want to know what he's cooking up. I don't know if it's going to be a fake punt they're going to pull up. I don't know if it's going to be some weird reverse pass like they had in the Celebration Bowl, but Southern's going to have to scheme for that because if they hit on I think if Central starts hitting those explosive plays, man, it really puts Southern in a bad spot. You need to make Central work their way down the field because this offense is just on a different level if you're allowing explosive plays.
Yeah, you can't give up any freebies to Matt and those guys. You've got to make them earn it. And, it's got to be one of those deals where you're not giving up those, as we call it, one-hitter quitters. You can't give up those. And that's that simple, like you said, reverse pass for a wide open 60-yard touchdown, first play of the second quarter, whatever. You got to limit those. And those are momentum building plays.
I hate to ask this, but it is a talking point. In your opinion, coach, which team's facing the most pressure to win this weekend?
I think it's NCCU.
Okay.
Because of all of the outside noise from, the new hires in that conference, the way they ended last year, the way it ended the year before with the Howard deal, after being on that high for so long, I think, now it's one of those deals where we're finishing third. I think that kind of turns up just a little bit, so I've got to believe it's got to be them by that much. But we know SU's not really patient, and we know if this thing gets ugly uh, in favor of NCCU, that the heat will automatically be turned up from that fan base.
Yeah, and Edwin makes a good point here. I do want to bring this up. Southern last year had like a million dropped interceptions. Southern's defensive backs could, I mean, coach, like even I think back to that Jackson game early in the year, there was a pick six they dropped at the goal line that could have given them a little bit of momentum in that first game. They dropped a ton of picks throughout the nickels and like the coming weeks, and they dropped a bunch against McNeil. Like Southern's defensive backs have to learn how to catch, man, because there were too many. Coach, you know this as a coach, that changes the course of a game. And you know how deflating it is on the sideline, coach, when it hits you in the chest and you just drop it.
That's another one you can go PFF on. The percentage of the team scoring after a dropped interception is over 80%.
I didn't know that stat. That's a high that is a high level stat right there.
You drop a pick, that team chances of scoring is over 80.
Wow. And Southern had that happen a ton last year. And so, especially early in the season. So, I think that's going to be super important for Southern. Coach, I'm with you with NCCU because of this. Is one, Southern already it's Celebration Bowl or bust for Southern anyway because of the Bayou Classic. Like, there's if they don't make the SWAC championship, Southern season's over. That because they can't go to the playoffs. Central can. And if you still have a slip up in conference, coach, how big is this loss on your resume when it comes down to the bubble for the playoffs, especially with the Ivy Leagues now joining the bubble too, because they get a auto bid this year. Because and then for me, coach, I think Central is going to be fine. And I want to make this point before everyone overreacts in the chat and everyone who's watching this after the fact overreacts. This game doesn't determine the season for either of these teams. You can lose this game and they could go on a run and you still got your whole conference. So I don't think this is a make or break game for either team. But coach, if let's just say Central loses this one, you have New Hampshire next week at Old Dominion. You still have at FAMU, you still have at Howard, you still have South Carolina State, and you still have at Morgan.
A lot of rocks to hold.
Bro, like losing this one could really set you back if you lose another game you're not supposed to.
Yeah, that's a lot of rocks to clear out the way there, bro.
Yeah, that's a ton. Now, can I give you the argument for why it could be Southern?
Definitely.
How bad have they been in big games recently? Like, I'm asking you, but what's the last massive game that Southern has won?
They beat us, but but yeah, dating back, you're right. What was the game? It was just regular season game, and Coach Prime brought ESPN Game Day there. That was a huge game. That same year, they make it to the championship game.
Yeah.
You make a point. You make a valid point.
For someone's funny in the chat, they said Lane. They beat Lane. Oh man, I'm just trying to think. Because listen, they beat y'all.
I can't call a signature, other than being us. I can't call a signature when. Because you wouldn't call the Bayou last year a signature or a big game, would you?
I don't want to offend anybody. The Bayou Classic's always a big game for the Southern Grambling head coach. When's the last time the Bayou Classic meant anything?
2015, 2014, I think. Winner take all.
Been a minute.
Yeah, 2014, 2015, I think. Winner take all.
Yeah, because Southern's either had it locked up or both teams have been eliminated for the past few years.
Yeah, I just remember it was either I think it was 2014, because I remember us watching that game here, because the winner of that game was the game who we would play for the championship, and Southern stopped Grambling on the goal line with no time left, and that was Dawson Odom's second year, maybe, or something like that. So
Scotty's stupid, bro. In the Pop Warner Classic. Oh man,
so
he's
yeah,
funny, man. Shout out
2014,
to Scotty.
2015.
I mean, so for me, this is big for Southern. I don't think it determines their season because we've seen Southern coach.
No,
They lose all these out of conference games, but then when it comes to the SWAC West, they'll win like 3 overtime games and they'll find a way to get to the SWAC championship. So they'll be fine.
definitely.
The question is though, how big would this be for the momentum and the perception of the program?
I mean, it's huge just because of what we just talked about. I think that sets that same fan base that was ready to turn up the heat. I think that sets them straight for a little while. Gives Coach G a little breathing room, so to speak. You know, and people may be saying breathing room. He's in championship game last year, but we know how that thing goes. It ain't what you've done. It's what you've done for me lately, and that's basically, again, if this thing can't get out of hand to start the year. If this gets out of hand starting the year, it's definitely got to be one of those we reel off 8 in a row and we make it back to Atlanta, or else it's going to get loud over there for sure.
Right, especially for Southern, you lose this game and then coach next week you get to go make the trip to Itabena for a non-conference game.
Yeah, you got to get up for that one. You better get up for that one.
And then you get to face Alabama State for another non-conference game.
Yeah, that's where you probably in your scheduling you probably should have looked at Lane.
Did you know how mad? Okay, can I just Southern fans aren't going to care. Southern fans are about to laugh. Do you know how mad someone in the West is going to be if Southern loses to 2 different, like let's just say Valley and Bama State beat them, right? Just on some crazy upset BS. And then they go on and win the West. Do you know how mad some West team's going to be when they're looking around like they're technically have 2 losses in SWAC play, but they didn't count?
Right. It's one of those deals where it's going to cause more confusion than anything because I don't think everybody understands that. I think people are under the assumption that one of those games is going to count. No, neither of those games count.
No.
As far as the division records go.
Coach, I'm telling you, because it happened last year in October, there's going to be somebody in the media space that's going to be screaming about tiebreakers, about something crazy, and it's like you still don't understand that these don't count for anything.
Yeah,
nothing. Just bragging rights. Like bro, there was a Valley account that tried to call me out on Twitter for saying it didn't count because Valley on their website had it as a conference game, and so the school that's playing the game didn't know it wasn't a conference game.
Oh, that's crazy. That's nuts.
I mean, I don't know what we're doing here.
That's nuts.
No. Listen, D, Valley wants to schedule that game because they get fans to come to Itabena. The real question is, why would Southern ever want to schedule this game? Why would you want to schedule a road trip to Itabena? Oh, Coach,
I'm just giving you my humble opinion. I get you for sure. It's more to lose in that situation than it is to win. You have way more. You have way more to lose than you do to
Scott
win.
Is petty. He said they don't want to play Nichols again. Nichols McNeese, bro, they're ducking that phone call. I don't know what's the area code for Lake Charles and Thibodeau.
Was it 317? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, they're declining that call every time. They said, "Bro, 50 was enough last year. We don't want no more of that smoke." Oh man, but no, I get it. I get it. Listen, I get the in-conference conference games or in-conference out-of-conference games for money, right? Jackson, Southern. I get it, Coach. Do you know how much money you can make off of a Jackson Southern game? Regardless, you have to play that game.
I
Jackson
know, but you still
Grambling.
got to schedule that though, man.
Yeah,
you still have to
Jackson Grambling. Those are money games.
Yeah, you still have to schedule those, man.
Yeah, those are money games. But Coach, I'm just going to throw this out here. Southern ain't making a dime off of playing Valley on the road.
No, it's costing them.
They're not making a single dime. So don't give me the, oh, it's about finances, bro. They aren't making a dime off that game.
Yeah, it's costing.
Valley ain't got money to pay them to come there.
No.
Come on, man. And you probably save money playing closer and playing nickels.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to get on 2-lane schedule or something.
And you know what would help, these rivalry games like Southern Jackson not fall off the conference schedule, Coach? Playing non-conference games.
Yeah, make them count.
We got a 12-game schedule now.
Yeah, make them count.
Anyway, I don't want to get into that. All good.
Coach, that's your pet peeve.
Yeah. Final prediction, man. Final prediction. Who you got in the MEAC SWAC Challenge this Saturday?
Man, I got NCCU. I got them in a 28-17 type ball game.
That's about where I had it. I had 31-20, I believe, Central. I think it's close early, and I think Central probably scores late, Coach, to kind of pull away. Like I can see it being a one-score game, Central scoring late to pull away, kicking a field goal, maybe even to pad the lead. So I'll be curious to see how, because here, me and Timothy have this conversation, Coach, and you've been coaching for a while. Teams that win a bunch of close games go one of two ways, Coach. And historically, percentage-wise, Coach, it hasn't been good. Teams that win close games the year prior typically don't win close games the next year. Timothy has the stat. I don't know if Timothy's watching. Timothy, give them the percentage. There's a trend. If they lose a close game, I'm a little worried there because they had a bunch of close wins last year. And if those flip, how different's the record?
Oh, it's god awful. It's below 500. You know what I mean? And I can see that stat being true because even though you lose players, there's players that come back that were part of that, and then in their mentality, in their minds, it starts thinking, "We're gonna win in the end anyway. We cool. We're gonna win in the end anyway. Just relax. The punter is gonna kick the ground and not kick the ball, and then we're gonna recover it for a touchdown." That's going to happen, guys. I'm telling you, that's going to happen. And then you start thinking that, and then you start to relax, and then what would have been, in your mind, a critical mistake, something you need to turn up some intensity to, you now become a little lax because you're, all right, man, we'll get it in the fourth quarter. We're cool. Hey, guys, coming out in the third, we're down 28-6, but we will come back because we did it last year. That's the mentality. That's what you start thinking. And then next thing you know, you look up, it's 42-6, you know what I'm saying? And you keep waiting on that strange bounce to get you back in, and it never happens. So I can see that happen, especially when you return a lot of people.
Yeah, but also, too, on the flip side, Coach, you've probably been on the other sideline where if it's a close game and that team won a bunch of close games, you get a little bit tighter and you're like, well, shit, man, like they always seem to find a way. Like, man, and you get real nervous and you don't want to make a mistake, and then you end up punting the ground.
Yeah.
And dropping the football.
And then you're like, all right, here we go. That kind of thing. No doubt about it.
Oh, but no, I think Central wins this one, man. I'm really high on Central this year, Coach. I've picked them to win the MEAC. I picked them to win like 10 games this year. Like I'm buying all the stock on Central this year. And there's a lot of people that don't like. I mean, real quick, and then we're getting out of here, Coach. Are you buying the Central stock this year to win the MEAC, or you got someone else coming out of the MEAC?
I'm buying. I think, again, they have that guy that's calling the signals. And I think that's something that everybody else doesn't have with experience, with the amount of experience he has. I think, that's got to put them in the front.
I'm with you. The South Carolina State fans were not happy with that prediction. And yeah, they not happy. And I'm with you, Jamie. Listen, they got the kid from James Madison, won the bowl game for James Madison this year, Coach. Billy Atkins, kid's a baller. I'm more worried about the defense. And listen, I love my guy, Coach O over there. Shout out to O'Daffer.
My guy.
They lost a ton of talent though this offseason. And I think it's going to take a year to kind of re-up in a lot of key places. And then offensive line is a big concern of mine.
But I'll say something to Jamie's comment, though. yeah, bowl-winning quarterback, but you got to remember now, Phoenix was with him through, you know, half of his college, well, over half of all of his college career, basically.
Yeah.
Uh, Same system, same, everything. That makes a difference. Even though this kid comes in, he's got uh, game-winning experience, he's got, P4 experience or whatever. It's still little things within that system that's going to make it different. You know what I mean? There's still little
Yeah.
things within the nuances of the offense, which is going to be a little different for him. So, again, little things make the difference. And, that's just kind of how that goes.
Jamie's a JMU fan. That's why he was throwing him out there. He's going to root for his former JMU guys.
I get it.
EA, you don't have to tell me to remember Jet Petty. I've been the guy who said since he signed, he should be the starting quarterback. I'm just saying, like, all the other FBS guys they added are not, in my opinion, are not very good, especially the kid from Central Michigan. Jet Petty should be the guy. That's the JUCO kid coach, the all-conference kid out of California that fan brought in. It
Yeah.
looks like he's the starter for them this year. So we'll see. I think FAMU's so interesting, coach, for me because they have enough returning talent that they should still be competitive, coach, but they have just enough question marks that make you wonder if it's not going to go the way you think it is.
Yeah, and then you gotta, again, and I know that's a whole nother show for us, but then you
Yeah,
gotta
we'll save that, but
you gotta think what their mindset is. You know what I mean? It's I would beg anybody to tell me that it's not different, but I think the feeling there on the hill has been completely different since Coach Simmons left. Uh, that mindset I don't think is the same, and I could be wrong, but just from the outside looking in, I just don't think it's the same mindset. So it'd be interesting to see if Coach has got that back. But again, we'll know early on what those pieces look like for them before they get to conference play. So again, as you always put it, man, when teams are playing quality opponents up front, I think that gives you a better understanding of who they are rather than, like you said, jumping out there and doing, a couple levels underneath you to get a couple early wins. So, this is gonna be pretty good, man. It's gonna be interesting. We've been waiting a long time, even though we've waited the same exact time in between seasons every year, but just
doesn't feel
seems like
like
it's
it.
been a little bit longer. We've been waiting a long time for Saturday, so it's gonna be interesting to kick it off and see how it gets kicked off and kind of goes from there, man. Really excited about it.
The last thing, coach, and we got to get out of here. Official AD asks, what would the narrative be if Southern wins?
What would be the narrative if Southern wins? Um, I think Southern is as good as as everybody's advertising. I think for them to pull it off, like we said, I think they've got to control the clock. They've got to run the ball, and I think that would be their calling card. So that narrative will be, hey, look out, SWAC. Southern is as strong as we thought they were. So that would be my guess.
Yeah, I think it would for me because if they win, just in my head, coach, that means Jalen had a good game. That means they probably ran the ball really well. Givens probably created havoc. To me, I mean, it would just be the next question would be, okay, you beat Central. Is this the year they finally get over the hump of FAMU Jackson? Because coach just bit. What is it? Is it 6 straight games with FAM, and then like
With Fam, yeah.
6 or might be 5 with FAM, 6 with Jackson? But they're both long. They're long streaks right now. You beat Central. You have this momentum. Can you get over the hump of Jackson or FAM? That's the question. After if they beat Central, that would be the question: is this the team that finally gets over one of the humps?
Oh, the expectation if they win this one, the expectations go through the other roof. What Michael Jordan said that year, the floor, the ceiling, and the roof.
Yeah. What do you say? The roof is the ceiling or something like
Yeah,
that?
something like that. Yeah, we're talking that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So if they win this one, ain't no doubt.
Oh, bro, I need Terrence Graves to walk in the press conference and be like, "Man, the roof's the ceiling now. The
Ain't
roof
no
is the
doubt.
ceiling."
The
I
roof
like
is
it.
the ceiling. Let's go.
Oh, but someone said the answer is hell no on that question, by the way. So just oh man, that's hilarious. But guys, man, we appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Me and Coach will be back every single week. We'll find the time. Like me and Coach are working on getting our schedules together, man. We're gonna try to have. We're probably gonna be your lunch show to watch, man. Everybody else has listen, there's a million shows that air from like 5 p.m. to about 9 p.m. every single night during the week, man. There's SWAC, HBCU, FCS content everywhere. We're gonna be your news show, man. So we'll pick 2 days a week, maybe three. Come on, stream a little bit at lunch, man. Talk about preview games, recap games, talk the biggest storylines all throughout the season, man. So make sure to tune in, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. If you listen, Coach is busy, man. I'm also gonna be busy this year, man. I'll be co-hosting with Craig Haley on the FCS Edge podcast for Stats Perform. I'm also co-hosting with Sam Herder with Hero Sports this year on his podcast. And on top of that, too, me and Timothy obviously are still doing our thing on the audio podcast where we talk more FCS football. So me and Coach will be holding down the YouTube front. So if you're not already annoyed with my voice and my takes, man, you can catch me at all those different places, man. But man, until next time, man, for Coach Fred, myself, the Blue Bloods, FCS Football Central on SI, man, we are out for right now.